Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a preview of the Canon EOS 6D Mark II. That's right, they just announced the 6D Mark II, and I want to run through the specs, tell you what it costs, tell you what I like about it, tell you what I don't like about it, and also tell you who I think it's for. So first things first, let's run down the specs. It has a 26.2 megapixel full-frame CMOS sensor. Now, the old 6D is old. It's about time they replaced it. It has a Digic 7 processor, which the 5D Mark IV doesn't even have, so a newer processor is better for processing those RAW files as well as those JPEGs, and probably to shoot at higher ISOs, which we'll get to in just a second, which is right now. It goes from ISO 100 to 40,000 natively. It has a high 2 mode of 102,400. So that is a nice native range for stills. Remember, full frame sensor cameras can shoot at higher ISOs and get cleaner files. It now has a 45-point all cross-type AF autofocus system. Now, if you recall, I'm pretty sure the 6D had one cross-type sensor, and I believe it was like 9 focusing points with just the center being cross-type. I did like that camera. I got some nice results with it, but Jesus, guys, 45 is much better. It does 6.5 frames a second in continuous shooting, which isn't terribly too bad for an entry-level camera. Now, when I say entry-level, let's say entry-level full-frame camera, because it's their only full-frame camera that is, well, it's entry because it's the lowest one that they offer. One SD card slot, but here's where I yell at Canon again, is why is it a UHS 1 card slot? That's yesterday's, not even yesterday's technology, that's last week's technology. And when I mean last week, I mean like that's 7 yesterdays ago. That is old. Why isn't it UHS 2? Why isn't it maybe even UHS 3? That makes no sense. But here's something cool that they put in. They have a 3-inch touch variable angle touchscreen, or vari-angle touchscreen. That means it's the one that rotates, like the thing right over here. It's just like an 80D. It's the 80D's big brother, basically, because it has a rotatable touchscreen and is full screen. So the rotatable touchscreen comes in handy if you are shooting video, and we'll get to the video specs in just a moment, but it is a nice option to have. Or if you're a vlogger and you like holding your camera out like this, though I'm not sure too many people hold full-frame cameras out in front of them. I know some people do. It's also more expensive because you're going to put a 11 to 24 on the front of it, would be awfully heavy. It has dual pixel AF, which is one of the most incredible things in cameras ever. And I always say that. Dual pixel AF is amazing in Canon cameras, in all of them down to the Rebel T7i. I love this for video, for autofocus. Nothing out there can compete with it from anybody. It's amazing. So here is the problem. It shoots 1080 at up to 60 frames a second. Now you're like, yeah, 1080 at 60 frames, that's pretty good. 3 years ago. It doesn't do 4K. Why this camera doesn't do 4K is beyond me. The only thing I can think of for why it doesn't do 4K is that if photographers were going to, or videographers were going to buy a 5D Mark IV and the 4K capabilities were better in this camera, then why wouldn't they spend the, I'm going to give you the price, the $1,999 for this opposed to the $3,000-some for the 5D Mark IV. That's the only thing I can think of for why they didn't include 4K into this camera, is they didn't want to pilfer the sales of the 5D Mark IV. But what this does is it makes most people who want to shoot video look somewhere else, and that somewhere else is Sony. Because Sony is eating everybody else's lunch, because they're innovating very well. They're not moving slow. Speaking of slow, this camera should have been released 2.5 years ago, and it feels like the specs are at least 2.5 years old because, oh, it's also dust and weather resistant. Let me add that in there. The reason I say that is it's using yesterday's technology is that the Nikon D750, which has been out for 3 years, which still sells for $1,800, has almost the same features of this camera, sans the vari-angle rotatable screen. It doesn't go as high ISO from 3 years ago, but you can bet your bottom dollar that the D760 or whatever the next one is that they come out with soon will have better specs than this and probably have 4K in it. Not that I recommend using Nikon for video, even though I'm using a D810 for video right here. 4K is important for anybody looking to shoot video today. Let's talk about who this camera's for. If you're a still shooter, primarily, and you want better results for shooting concerts, for shooting sports, for shooting whatever you want because you want that full frame capability and you want the L series glass on full frame, you probably can't go wrong with this camera. The ISO capability at 40,000 is very nice. There's nothing wrong with that. And you've got the high expandable to 102,000, which you'll never go into. 6.5 frames a second is fine. The SD card thing throws me off. Why isn't it UHS 2? I don't know, but at $2,000, it is an interesting place to be. You have to ask yourself, are you going to spend $1,300 for an 80D, which is already a couple years old, or are you going to get a 77D? If you're doing video, vlogging, I go 77D all day long or a T7i and save the money and just talk to the camera using the dual pixel AF and just live with not having 4K. That's just one of the things. You won't have 4K. If it comes to shooting video, I don't think I can... Look, this camera would do a great job shooting video. There's no doubt about it that it's the photographer or the videographer, the person that's capturing the video is really what makes a big difference. But 4K gives you a lot of flexibility. For example, when we photograph or film the Photo News Fix, we shoot it in 4K with my Nikon D5 so we can have multiple angles all from one shot. You cut in closer or you have a wider shot. That comes in handy when you're shooting video to create multiple angles at 1080. So it's about time they put this out. It's 2 years late in terms of technology because they didn't update most of the technology to what is currently available now, including the 4K. What do you guys think? For $2,000, would this be a camera you're excited about? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Leave them in the comments below. What features is this camera missing? What features do you like? I mean, I know that I like that it's full frame. I like that it has 45 autofocus points. I love dual pixel AF. The rotatable screen is very nice. Built-in NFC, Wi-Fi, and GPS, if that even matters. For the most part, it really doesn't. But the Wi-Fi app is incredible that Canon has for hitting record from my seat. I could do it right here, check the focus, move the focus, and do all of that. But let me know what you guys think down below. And one last thing before I sign off is I know you probably have camera gear if you're watching this, and I highly suggest you check out my app called My Gear Vault. It's the best way to input, organize, and protect your gear, and it's absolutely free to download. Please go check it out and download it right now on iOS, which it's available, and coming soon, Android. This is an Android phone, and it's running My Gear Vault, which means it may be out by the time you're seeing this if it's after July of 2017. So that's where I'm going to leave it right now. Please go check it out. It's free. Download it. Try it. If you don't like it, delete it. It doesn't cost you anything. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.